The charges that Cain Velasquez is facing are stemming from an alleged incident back in February where police say he drove at speeds that reached 100 miles per hour while chasing a suspected pedophile and opening fire on the vehicle he was in multiple times. Today, Velasquez is back in a Santa Clara County courtroom, had a motions hearing. He's pleaded not guilty in the case, of course, and he's facing charges of attempted murder and assault. We have a very special guest who is joining us tonight in Los Angeles, California. Very well-known criminal defense attorney, and the man who happens to also be representing Cain Velasquez, attorney Mark Garagos, is on the show. Mark, so great to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the program tonight.
My pleasure. Happy Friday night to you.
Mark, first question I have for you is, how is Cain Velasquez doing tonight? How's he holding up?
Remarkably well under the circumstances. As we argued, not once, not twice, but 3 times on the bail hearings, he does not belong where he is, number one. And number two, the only victims here, which are his family, are the ones who really need him. And it's frankly perplexing to me what is going through the mind of the people who are seeking or have sought to keep him in custody. You know, Julie, today, the district attorney, I had known this, but now they said it on the record that they do not plan on calling the accused molester in this case, even though the accused molester, Mr. Gularte, is the only person who is the complaining witness in the attempted murder count. And they've now said, gone on the record, they're not going to call him as a witness. So you have to wonder, we're already in upside down world. Now we've gone through the looking glass.
Isn't that the truth, Mark? Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. I learned the most about this case from reading that motion that you and your colleagues put together for him to try to get him out, get him bond. A beautiful job you did arguing every issue you can think of here. And you noted that not only will Harry Gularte, that's this guy's name, who is also being prosecuted. So remember, this guy right here, you see here, he's a defendant in criminal court being accused of molesting Cain Velasquez's 4-year-old child who went to the daycare center that guy's mother owns and operates. And apparently he was living there. So the DAs are prosecuting him. He's their defendant there, but out on bond. And then he's said to be a victim on the case against your client, Mark. The state's not going to call him. And I understand that Paul Bender, who is the stepfather who was hit in the arm on the day of the incident on the roadway, and Patricia Gularte, the mother, they're going to plead the fifth. They're not going to testify either if the state calls them.
Right. Paul Bender has already, through his lawyers, moved to stay the civil proceedings by saying he's going to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Patricia is dodging service, so God only knows where she is. They put the daycare center up for sale. They're obviously not sticking around. If anybody was a threat to public safety, it would be a place that literally was a pedophile, or at least at first glance, kind of the gravamen of a pedophile and his actions. And on top of it, they're the same DA, as you noted, who's prosecuting them is prosecuting Cain. How do you serve those two masters? It makes absolutely no sense. This thing is really an abomination. And I've said it since day one. The fact that this DA came out here, held a press conference, kind of tainted the whole process, and now is basically saying, oh, well, we wanted bail on the molester, but the judge overruled us, but we don't want any bail on Cain. We want to keep him in custody. I don't understand how they do it, but we'll address that as well.
I know, Mark, it's a head scratcher. Tell me, do you have any indication which case the state is going to proceed on first? I was thinking about that today, because here, which one are they going to try first? It's up to them, as you know. I'm curious if they've let you know.
No, they don't let us know. In fact, they've gone through all kinds of machinations to try and keep these cases separate. Now, not trying to keep them separate. We've been holding their feet to the fire. I will tell you that it looks like we will do the preliminary hearing first. We set it for next month. I look forward to seeing how they plan on proving a case when one of their witnesses they're not going to call, the most important witness. The other two have invoked the Fifth Amendment. I'd like to know if they're going to waive that and get on the stand and then subject themselves to cross-examination. Our investigation has already revealed that it's apparent that the mother and the stepfather were intimately involved in everything that was going on at the daycare center, and we've got a lot of questions for them.
Oh, wow, Mark. Are your investigators telling you that there are indications they knew the alleged abuse was happening at the hands of their son?
Stay tuned. We'll see you next month, and we think that there's going to be some surprises. The public, which is already, I will tell you, I've never seen a situation where people are clearly befuddled by what's going on. I will tell you, in the same county 10 years ago, my office represented a man who was accused of beating up his pedophile priest, molester, that he had tracked it down to Santa Clara. His name was Will Lynch. Will was acquitted by a jury in that same county 10 years ago by our office, and that case was nowhere near, and I know Will get mad at me for saying this, but in my opinion, nowhere near as egregious as this case.
Wow, that says a lot. And I know you're not afraid to pick 12 on this one, Mark, if it gets to that point, and knowing what you know about juries there.
On this case.
Right. Tell me, Mark, really, when you think about how this all started, it started first with the child, with that 4-year-old child who deserved to be protected. How is Cain Velasquez's son doing today?
Well, that's, we go full circle to where I started. That's what the real crime is here. The fact that they're keeping Cain Sr. in jail when he needs to be home with his son at this trying time. Shame on everybody involved for doing that. This is when a 4-year-old son, when he confides in his father. Can you imagine what is happening in that little boy's head? That he told the truth, that he finally got up the nerve to tell his father this, that his father did the right thing. And the authorities dropped the ball, that everybody along the lines in the criminal justice system dropped the ball. And now they've taken his father away from him, and they're protecting the pedophile, the accused pedophile, and the enablers of the accused pedophile. Like I say, I've been doing this for almost 40 years. This next year will be my 40th year. I've never seen a fact pattern more outrageous. And frankly, the people of Santa Clara ought to say to themselves, who is this district attorney and what is he doing?
Mark, when we think about anything with children, I mean, it is heartbreaking, it is angering, it is upsetting on every level. This child deserved to be protected. And the child comes forward, tells his parents, and you pointed this out in the motion I read today when you're petitioning to try to get your client out of jail on a bond as he awaits the prelim and all the other proceedings, if there are any. You pointed out how when initially Cain Velasquez and his wife found out about this from their boy, they didn't go after Harry Goularte. They went to police.
That's correct.
But
they
on this
did what
day,
you were supposed to do.
Right, they made the report.
Exactly what you were supposed to do.
Right.
They went to the detectives. They went to the authorities. They talked to all of the various agencies, and their reward was this guy was in and out of custody. And they
That's
didn't
what I wanted
tell
to ask you
anybody.
about.
They didn't tell any neighbors.
So tell us what happened between now and then, because the incident, we're looking at February 28th of 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. And so I'm not going to get into the facts right now because I'm not going to preview the questioning and the cross-examination, but I will tell you that the uncontroverted facts are is that Michelle and Cain Sr. did exactly what they were supposed to do. The authorities did exactly what they're not supposed to do. You're supposed to stay in touch. You're supposed to investigate. You're supposed to have and by the way, it's not just this family, it's other families as well. And we'll hold them to account because apparently the authorities are more worried about an accused molester and his ability to be free in the community than they are the man who was set out to protect the community.
And just to give everybody some context too, please, Mark, the incident that is the subject of the case that you're representing Cain on February 28th of this year, but the reporting of the incident with Harry Goularte happened first just a matter of days before, right? We're talking just a couple of days, right? He is taken into custody, arraigned on like the 23rd or something, and on the 20th.
Correct, and immediately released back out into the community.
On the 25th or something, if my memory serves me correctly. Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, he spent less than 72 hours from start to finish. And if you believe the authorities, we're supposed to be more worried about Cain Sr. than we are about this guy as a threat to the community. Tell me if that isn't upside down world.
Sure. Mark, can you tell us, was it a chance encounter that these two cars see each other on the road?
I'm not going to get into any of that. I apologize, but I will. I'll talk to you.
Fair enough. No, fair enough. I just wondered. I think that's something that a lot of people are wondering about, you know, how did they happen to run into each other on that given day? But, you know, Well,
remember, they live in close proximity, obviously, because the daycare center is close to where they live. So that's yet another thing that augurs for why this gentleman, the so-called victim in Cain's case, who I like to call the pedophile or the accused pedophile, why it's even more outrageous that they released him into the community, did not warn, let alone my family, didn't warn any of the other families.
Sure. Mark, if this gets to the point of a trial, let's just say if it does, and we certainly won't hold you to this anything definitively, but is your client open to testifying?
Look, I will tell you this. My client wants to tell people his story. I'll just leave it at that. He wants to tell them the truth. He wants the truth to come out, as do I. And that's why I said this is upside down world. Usually when you're the defense, the last thing you want to do is anything but try your case within the prosecution case. But here in this case, I think when the truth comes out, people are going to be even more horrified than they are already.
Mark, I don't know if this is any indication, but I've been looking at your client's Twitter account, and he wrote something, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he hopes that God gives the true victims the strength to come forward. And when I read that, the first thought in my mind, I served as a prosecutor previously before doing this job at Court TV, and I thought, okay, this with his son allegedly happened at a daycare center where there were other children. Do you happen to know, is there an investigation going on to see if any other children were victimized?
I'll just say this, there's an investigation going on. I don't believe it's by the authorities.
Okay. Mark Garagos, thank you so much for coming on Court TV's Closing Argument show tonight. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more as this one progresses.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you.
Take good care, Mark.